We'll be live in 3,
Bye, Tyler.
2,
Tyler, unfavorable.
almost there. It's loading. All right, we should be live.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Secretary. Good morning, Anne Arundel County. Welcome to the delegation meeting for Friday, February 28th. Before we get started, because we do have some legislation, local bills we'll be discussing, I'd ask that the Secretary, Mr. Secretary, take roll call.
All right, this roll is for delegation meeting February 28th, 2025. Vice Chair Simmons.
Sorry, present.
Delegate Bagnall.
Present.
Delegate Barnes. Delegate Bartlett. Delegate Baylor. Delegate Chang.
Here.
Delegate Chisholm.
Here.
Delegate Howard.
Here.
Delegate Jones. Delegate Kipke.
Present.
Delegate Lehman.
Here.
Delegate Pena-Melnick.
I'm here in the green.
Delegate Congola.
Present.
Delegate Rogers.
Here.
Delegate Smith.
Present.
Chair Pruski.
Here.
Mr. Chair, we have quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I'm going to turn it over to Chair Joseline Pena-Melnick to lead us today in the Pledge of Allegiance and prayer. Thank you.
Thank you. We can stand, please. I pledge allegiance
To the
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us bow our heads, please. Dear Lord, as we begin this day, please give Speaker Jones and her family strength to deal with the loss of her son, Brandon. We also ask for your guidance and protection. Please give us the strength to face any challenges that come our way. Help us to walk in your light and to share your love with those around us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Delegate Pena-Melnick.
Thank you.
We are now going to begin. I wanted to update a few folks with today's agenda. Unfortunately, Colonel Gore from Fort Meade will be unable to join us, but we will try and reschedule that. I know she spoke in front of the Veterans Caucus. Delegate Rogers and I heard she did provide an update. If anybody wants to get her contact information, I can do that, but she will come to a future meeting and we'll try and arrange that. Okay, I do want to begin. We're going to go right into legislation because I know our Prince George's delegation needs to go and others have that. HB 1275, Anne Arundel County Board of Education Constituent Services Liaison. I wanted the sponsor to just discuss what the bill is, and then also maybe the Education Subcommittee and others add on to that. So I'll turn it over to the sponsor first, HB 1275.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Happy to. We had a great and fruitful discussion yesterday in the Education Subcommittee. Basically, the bill, as we heard, I think last week, creates a liaison position for the Board of Education to interface with constituents and also help constituents navigate, special education and the education system in general. And we had a great discussion yesterday. That position is gone unfulfilled, even though the board has put that position in their budget for 3 years. And I don't want to, I don't know if Delegate Lehman's here. I don't want to overstep, but basically, Delegate Bagnall came up with a fantastic idea of just go ahead and write a letter of support for that position from the delegation and move forward in that fashion and to basically let county executive know that we strongly support this position being filled in the budget. And, and I don't know if Delegate Lehman's on. I didn't hear.
Yeah, yes, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Delegate Howard, for that description. Mr. Chair and colleagues, we did have two robust discussions this week in the Education Subcommittee. The first one, Mr. Howard was not aware of. There was miscommunication, but we spoke about it. And lots of questions were raised. And then he was able to join us for a second meeting. There was also Representative Ms. Wilson from the school system. And, we talked about the history of the board clearly wanting at least one, and I think in the current fiscal year budget, 2 positions to do this community liaison work, which is, of course, important for Board of Ed members to help students and families, again, as Delegate Howard said, navigate the system. There were questions around why this position or positions continue to be put in the budget, only to be taken out. Ms. Wilson tried to address that. And Delegate Bagnall, who I'm going to call on here in a moment, came up with this idea of writing a very clear, strong letter of support to the county executive and copying the county council to say, this is why we think this is important. We not only want to see at least 1, if not 2 positions in the budget, but we want them to stay in the budget. So in fact, the Board of Education does have this important resource. So with that, Mr. Chair, if it's okay, I'd like Delegate Bagnall to talk a little bit about the idea behind the letter.
Thank you, Delegate Lehman. Delegate Bagnall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you to the bill sponsor and to the Education Subcommittee. We have had conversations with the board, and this is an ongoing issue because as we all know, an elected board is a fairly new development in Arundel County. I think they were created through legislation in 2016. Our first elected board, or 2017, first elected board was seated in 2019. So they serve the entire county. We're one of the larger counties school systems, and they have no dedicated staff. I wanted to make a motion that we draft a letter of support to the county executive, copying the county council in funding this position, and also because the board is putting this position in their budget and then it's just going unfunded, and also request that we keep Delegate Howard's bill in the Education Subcommittee so that we can work it and make sure that we have a clean bill, because we still had some questions around the special education piece, whether this was 1 position or 2, so that we actually have a clean bill as well for such time as we feel appropriate, if we find that this position continues to be unfunded. And with that, I would make a motion to draft a letter. I know that we'll all need to still review the letter before final sign off. But this way we also don't have to go through necessarily the legislative process. We can do this as a delegation.
Second.
Okay, so I just want to be clear. Right now, the current bill would remain in the Education Subcommittee for further discussion, but we have a motion on the floor for a letter that'll be written on behalf of the delegation. There'll be a draft. I just want to confirm with our counsel, Matt Carpenter, would it be appropriate to have the letter drafted and then approve it at our next meeting? What's the appropriate way? Because I don't want to approve something that nobody's seen. So please tell me how this works in terms of a letter from the delegation.
That's the best process.
Okay, great. So we have a motion on the floor. It's been properly moved and seconded. And to be clear, it is a letter to the county executive and county council on behalf of the delegation, talking about the need for the board liaison. And again, we will work this week to get that draft, share it with everyone prior to next delegation meeting, and then we will take a vote. I believe that, Mr. Carpenter, this is a voice vote. We don't need to do a roll call for this. Am I correct? Okay, thank you. So we will do a voice vote. All those in favor of Delegate Bagnall and Delegate Chisholm second to have a letter drafted and then approved at the next meeting. All those please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Mr. Secretary, if you would help coordinate between Delegate Howard, Delegate Bagnall, and Delegate Lehman on that letter, and if we could share it with folks to get it done. Thank you so much. And I appreciate the work of the Education Subcommittee for you guys continuing that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And we will meet again as needed. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
If I could, just a moment of
Yes,
real
Delegate
quick,
Howard.
I know people got to go, but thank you to the Education Subcommittee as well. I really appreciate it. And we had a lot of latitude and a good, robust discussion, and thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. And then we'll move to our next and only other bill that we have on today's agenda is HB 1467, Local Finance Special Taxing District Erosion Prevention Projects and Erosion Control Projects. I'll let the sponsor speak first. I know there's an amendment because there was a concern on whether this was a local bill or not, but let me turn it over to him first and then we'll go process-wise. Delegate Howard.
Absolutely. Thank you, colleagues. For the record, Delegate Howard, very pleased to bring you HB 1467. It's a special taxing districts bill for erosion control. So as we know, in Anne Arundel County, we have the most shoreline, of any county in I think in the state of Maryland. And this bill simply allows communities to access funds that they've set aside, held in escrow by the county for shoreline erosion control projects, ongoing projects, and new construction. I believe I have a witness, Miss Pam Foster, and I would like to turn it over to her because it's not that it's overly complex, but she can sort of walk you through. She's been dealing with this for quite some time and has brought this bill to my attention. And I think she would be better to be able to walk you through, the mechanisms of the bill and how this bill would better facilitate quite frankly, in Anne Arundel County, all of our communities being able to establish, access these funds and move forward to protect our shoreline. So if I could, Mr. Chair, could I call my witness?
Yes, Ms. Foster, just briefly for 2 minutes, can you tell us, Delegate Howard, kind of the intent of the bill? And thank you. You may proceed.
Okay, that's not exactly what I had prepared. So I'll just tell you what has happened to our community. So hi, I'm Pam Foster, and I'm acting secretary of the Cedarhurst Citizens Association. And I'm here on the behalf of Cedarhurst on the Bay in Shadyside regarding Anne Arundel County's administration of Cedarhurst Shoreline Erosion Control District funds. On January 20th, 2024, CCA requested to use $56,000 of its accumulated SECD funds to pay for final design, cost estimate, permitting, and grant assistance services for rebuilding the community's failing shoreline. The County Office of Law made the determination that the restoration of Cedarhurst's half-mile of existing hardened shoreline is a new project, which would require completion of an arduous petition process. Perplexed by this determination, I thoroughly reviewed the Maryland Code regarding SECDs. In June, a deputy county attorney provided a memo which included this statement, which is not supported by Maryland Code. To qualify as maintenance, the proposed project would have to be required to maintain or repair specific shore erosion control projects that were paid for through the district. Cedarhurst reached out to the county executive and our county council person, both deferred to the Office of Law. I then reached out to Delegate Howard, explaining how the outdated and nebulous Maryland Code had allowed for interpretation that is counterintuitive to the intent of the law. My review of the code also revealed that SECD funds are to be paid interest. A county accountant confirmed that county-held SECD funds were not in an interest-bearing account. 8 months later, the deputy county attorney responded to our inquiry saying that the county will be calculating interest on SECD funds held by the county for the past 3 years and crediting that amount to the community's fund balance.
Ms. Foster, if you could just summarize, go ahead.
Yeah, well, Cedarhurst has been forced to hire a lawyer to negotiate with the county, who continues to hold to deny us access to these funds in the name of the state law. And they are also violating state law by holding those funds without interest. So I'm hoping to rectify that.
Thank you, Ms. Foster. I do know we
Yes.
have a representative from the county. I certainly want to hear from them. As someone who served on the county council, I know they're the ones that manage this, so I'd like to hear from them. I believe Ethan Hunt or someone is here from the county exec's office. If we could connect with them.
Yeah, give me just 1 second.
Sure.
Chairman, I'm just pulling up an email. So it is correct. So the County Office of Law determined that that these funds were not held in interest-bearing accounts. We've agreed to go back and pay interest back 3 years. And as to the maintenance of the other funds. Currently, state law requires that any project receive a petition of support from 75% of the residents in the special community benefits district. There are about 20 of these shore erosion control districts in Anne Arundel County that petition the county or submit petitions in support of their various projects for shoreline control, erosion control, those types of things. So determination was from the Office of Law that this would qualify as a new project and not maintenance of a prior project. And because the Office of Law is applying state law, that is how that determination was made. But I have spoken with Delegate Howard about this bill, and I understand its intent. So
Okay,
happy
thank
to answer
you.
any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Are there any questions from the delegates for Ms. Foster or Mr. Hunt? Delegate Bagnell?
I think Delegate Chisholm was before me.
I'm sorry, Delegate Chisholm, you go ahead, and then Delegate Bagnell.
Thank you, Matt, Mr. Chairman. We were just given one example by Pam. Is her case unique, or do we have other individuals that would fall into this that are owed interest payments?
Well, I don't want to speak for Ethan, but I mean, his testimony was that there's 20 of these shoreline erosion control districts out there. So I would imagine whether they've been setting aside funds or not would be that question. But I would imagine that to some degree they would be owed if they have been petitioned setting funds aside. And I don't know, Ethan, if you want to chime in.
Sure. I was just looking back through my chain of emails. I believe they are calculating the interest on all of the funds for the various districts going back 3 years.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Delegate Chisholm. Delegate Bagnell?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I apologize. Are we still on the bill, or are we on the amendment as well?
No, we're still on the initial hearing for the bill. Well, I was going to mention after we had questions for Ms. Foster, Mr. Hunt, that in my opinion, there needs to be an amendment to make this a local bill, but I wanted to focus on what was presented so far.
Absolutely. Thank you. I will hold my question until the appropriate time.
Okay. Any other questions though about what was initially presented? So I do want to talk with council just to make sure, and I know Delegate Howard, my understanding is the way the bill is currently written, it is not a local bill, but there's an amendment. So I think, I don't know who has the amendment, but I think it's appropriate at this time to address that, and if I'm correct.
Yes.
Okay, so I believe Delegate Howard, this is your amendment. If you want to explain, I believe how this will be a local bill, and then Matt Carpenter, if you would kind of chime in, and then also with the county.
Well, because like I was testifying to earlier, there's so much, I mean, if you take linear feet of shoreline just in Anne Arundel County, it goes from here to Boston, right? So, and given the fact that there are, now 20, I knew that there were several dozen of these shoreline control districts in Anne Arundel County. This is really nebulous to Anne Arundel County, the Anne Arundel County Council, and the funds are being held by Anne Arundel County, so I wanted to keep it local. So I developed that amendment to localize the bill.
Okay, is there a motion for this amendment, discussion on the amendment by anyone? Also the county, Mr. Hunt, did you want to chime in at all?
Sure. So the one thing I'll say, and I'm just looking here, that the erosion prevention project subtitle in the local government article says that each community that abuts a body of water in the state is a district. So I think without this amendment, it's, I think, far wider reaching than the delegate intended, because it would encompass any counties with shorelines or, that border the Potomac or the Chesapeake Bay. So I understand the amendment completely. I think it's probably a good thing to narrow the scope of it.
Okay, Delegate Bagnell?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And this is just a question for the sponsor. Has this already been heard in Environment and Transportation?
No, I believe that's why I'm excited to bring it before the delegation today. I believe the bill hearing for this in ENT is Wednesday. So I'm hoping, that we can hear it today, and then we can have a robust discussion about the bill on Wednesday.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Vice Chair Simmons?
I was going to ask if we can get a list of those locations here in Anne Arundel County.
I can, if you give me 1 second. They're in section 47303 of the county code, but I can send you that list.
Thank you.
Yep.
And Mr. Hunt, I don't want to misrepresent you at all, but it sounds like you're in favor of this amendment. Am I clear on that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Does anyone have a motion on the amendment to move the amendment?
Motion to move the amendment.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to move. If you could scroll up, Mr. Secretary, I can't see the amendment number. Apologies. Oh, here it is right here.
I have it.
We have a motion on the floor for HB 146790382-1. Delegate Bagnell, did you have further discussion?
Just a question procedurally, for Matt. Do we need to move to what is it, to
Suspend the rules.
suspend the rules? Thank you.
Yeah.
Do we need to move to suspend the rules and vote it on the same day as the hearing?
Yes, we do.
Okay, Mr. Carpenter, I just want to make sure, will we do the amendment first, though?
The amendment first is fine.
And then suspend the rules, because obviously it's right now, it's not an Anne Arundel County bill.
Right.
My understanding, this amendment would then make it an Anne Arundel County bill, and then we could suspend the rules. I think that's if I'm correct.
That's perfectly
Thank
fine.
you.
Yes.
Thank
I'm
you.
not an attorney, but I play one on TV, so at least I know that. I believe that's the procedure.
That's why I
so-
raised my hand, because I
Thank
couldn't
you,
remember.
Delegate
Thank
Bagnell.
you.
All right, so once again, we have a motion on the floor that's been properly moved and seconded. Delegate Bartlett?
My apologies, a quick question, and the sponsor might have mentioned why this is an emergency bill. I didn't catch that. If we talked about it, I apologize.
Sure, and I can let, if it's okay, Mr. Chair, I'll let Pam Foster chime in a little bit here. But it's from my understanding, there's some dates as far as application and releasing of funds and usage of funds. So
Yes.
Yeah.
So as you started, this began in January 20th, 2024. So over a year ago, we were asking for these funds and they were not allocated to us. So we have had to we have applied for grants to get these funds and have not been successful as yet. We have also had to add the payment for these engineering services to our fiscal year 2026 budget in our benefit district, which we did not have the wiggle room to do. So that is very unfortunate. And as I said, it's a matter of budgeting for us. Where is this roughly $60,000 going to come from if we can't get it from our own SECD funds, which I understand as of yesterday, we had a meeting and our treasurer announced that we have about $250,000 in our SECD fund. We're only asking for $56,000 and the county will not release it to us.
Okay, and so I just want to make sure I understand the effect of an emergency bill is that it will go into effect once it is, and this is actually for Matt, emergency bill, it goes into, if passed, it goes into effect when it is passed. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and so, and this will, I didn't get a chance to look at the fiscal note, but I think, is the fiscal note only the 56,000 amount?
Well, I don't think, and I don't want to speak for everybody, but I don't think there's really going to be a fiscal note because these are SECD funds. So these are funds that the citizenry collect, and they're held in escrow by the county.
Okay, so it doesn't affect state funds.
No.
Okay, that's where I was going because I didn't want an emergency. Yeah, it was going to mess
Yeah.
up the budget. Okay,
Oh, I see where
gotcha.
you're going. Yeah, and so long story short, Sandy, is that it's a budgeting issue for this $56,000, and that's the emergency bill language.
Yeah, I get it now. I just didn't know how it was going to affect state funds. We're good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Bartlett. And it is important for everyone to understand the purpose and intent. And I'm glad that we're having this discussion. Thank you all. I want to give one more wait time, my teacher, 5 seconds to see if anybody has any further discussion on the amendment before we take the roll call. Okay, seeing no hands, We are now have again a motion that's been properly moved in second on Amendment 1, HB 1467, 903-821/1. Mr. Secretary, please take the roll.
This vote on 28 February 2025 is for amendment to HB 1467, local finance special taxing districts, erosion prevention projects, and erosion control projects. Amendment number 903-821/1. Vice Chair Simmons.
Yes.
Delegate Bagnell.
Yes.
Delegate Barnes. Delegate Bartlett.
Yes.
Delegate Baylor.
Yes.
Delegate Chang.
Yes.
Delegate Chisholm.
Yes.
Delegate Howard.
Yes.
Delegate Jones. Delegate Kipke.
Yes.
Delegate Lehman.
Yes.
Delegate Pena-Melnick.
Yes.
Delegate Congolo.
Yes.
Delegate Rogers.
Yes.
Delegate Smith.
Schmidt, yes.
Chair Pruski.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, by a vote of 14-0 with 2 absent, the amendment motion passes.
Move the bill as amended.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Delegate Bagnell?
Do we need to make a motion to suspend the rules?
Yes.
Well,
Bill on the same day.
Yes, because this bill, good point, for a point of parliamentary procedure, we do have to suspend the rules if we're going to vote on the same. This is the first time it was heard. So if the current delegate and would withdraw their motion, let's suspend the rules first.
oh, okay. Okay, so procedurally, I'm sorry. I thought we had to vote the bill, then suspend the rule. Okay.
Yeah. So,
Motion to withdraw my motion.
And
okay.
I second that withdrawal.
Okay. So now we need a motion to suspend the rules on the bill and move it forward so we can move it forward. Is there a motion for that intent?
Move to suspend the rules.
Second.
Okay. Is there a second? All right. Any discussion on that? Delegate back. Oh, you're good. Okay. We have a motion on the floor to suspend the rules so we can vote on HB 1467 in the same hearing. Any discussion? Mr. Carpenter, I believe this is a roll call, correct? Because we're suspending the rules. Thank you. All right, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
All right, this motion to suspend the rules on February 28th, 2025 for HB 1467 with amendment. Vice Chair Simmons.
Yes.
Delegate Bagnell.
Yes.
Delegate Barnes. Delegate Bartlett.
Yes.
Delegate Baylor.
Yes.
Delegate Chang.
Yes.
Delegate Chisholm.
Yes.
Delegate Howard.
Yes.
Delegate Jones. Delegate Kipke.
Yes.
Delegate Lehman.
Yes.
Delegate Pena-Melnick.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank
We
you.
have you as an affirmative. Delegate Congolo.
Yes.
Delegate Rogers.
Yes.
Delegate Smith.
Yes.
Chair Pruski.
Yes.
Vote to suspend the rules is 14-0 with 2 absent.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to now approve the bill now that it's been suspended to move it forward?
Move the bill as amended.
Second.
Okay, we have a proper motion to vote on the bill, and that is HB 1467, local finance, special taxing districts, erosion prevention project, and erosion control projects. Is there any further discussion? Mr. Secretary, please take the roll.
This vote on February 28th, 2025 is for House Bill 1467 with amendment 903-821/1. Vice Chair Simmons.
Yes.
Delegate Bagnell.
Yes.
Delegate Barnes. Delegate Bartlett.
Yes.
Delegate Baylor.
Yes.
Delegate Chang.
Yes.
Delegate Chisholm.
Yes.
Delegate Howard.
Yes.
Delegate Jones. Delegate Kipke.
Yes.
Delegate Lehman.
Yes.
Delegate Pena-Melnick.
Yes.
Delegate Congolo.
Yes.
Delegate Rogers.
Yes.
Delegate Smith.
Yes.
Chair Pruski.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, by a vote of 14-0 with 2 absent, House Bill 1467 with amendment passes.
Thank you. Thank you to Ms. Foster, and thank you to Delegate Howard for bringing the bill. Next time, we will do an Abbott and Costello routine on who's on first with legislation. But thank you all. I appreciate everyone's patience.
Can I get a letter of support for the bill hearing?
Yes, we will work with Mr. Secretary to get that done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you all and everyone's patience. And
yes, very much so.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we do have two presentations today. As I mentioned, Colonel Gore, the garrison commander for Fort Meade, could not join us today, but we do have two groups. The Chesapeake Bay Trust, I believe, is here and was going to present for 5 minutes briefly to kind of give us an overview of their work. I see Miss Davis, always good to see you. I'm going to turn it over to you, and you may begin when you're ready.
Thank you so much. And I'll be even shorter than 5 minutes. I know how busy you all are. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, members of the delegation, for having us here. I'm here with Suzanne Richards, who is represents the Ag Tag today. So we are the Bay Plate folks. You all created the Chesapeake Bay Trust, my organization, and the Bay Plate. So we feel it's important to come back and let you know what we're doing in your districts, in the community. And hopefully you can take credit for it. We're starting to we have long sent you a list of all the grants that we make in your districts every quarter, and now we're sending you many of you blurbs for your newsletters. If anybody who doesn't have them yet wants blurbs of our grant programs that, again, you can take credit for your newsletters, please let us know. We were created to empower community-based groups on the ground, very much like the topic we just heard. A lot of community-based homeowners associations access our grants and use them for the very kinds of projects you were just discussing, and actually use their special tax funds as match for a lot of living shoreline projects that we fund. I don't know that particular community. I'm happy to talk with her to see if she's accessed our grant programs before. We do have 3 times as many requests for our grant programs as funding available, so we can't always guarantee that someone gets a grant, but we can certainly help them through the process. I can't share my screen, so I'm going to do sharing the old-fashioned way. Unless someone wants to turn the screen share on, we have, oh my goodness, now I have a background. So we have an annual report that we send you every year. Let me, if I hold it close. So you should have a copy of that in your offices. We're very transparent. We list every grant that we make, and there's an interactive map. And let me just see if the sharing is on. Nope, not yet. I'll just continue. But Roger, if you want me to share my screen, I'm happy to do that. But you can take a look at and see exactly where the funding from the Bay Plate and about 40 other revenue streams that we manage is going. And if you have folks in your communities that you think would benefit from natural resources related grants, we love to fund non-environmental grants as well, organizations as well as environmental organizations. A lot of faith-based organizations get grants from us. They have a lot of property. Sometimes there's flooding issues. They need help with a green infrastructure grant. So about 15% of the grants we make are for faith-related projects, homeowners associations, teachers. A lot of schools, of course, in your districts get grants. And I sent a list over of all the grants that we've made for the past 10 years or so in Anne Arundel County. So you can see, and if anybody wants a list specifically just for their district of our last 10 years or so, I'm happy to provide that. So that's what the Bay Plate does. And there's a tax checkoff, Chesapeake Endangered Species tax checkoff in your communities. We do manage a lot of federal funds. Happy to talk to folks about that issue as well. And I'll turn it over to Suzanne, who's going to talk about the Ag Tag.
Thank you, Jana. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this morning. As Jana mentioned, my name is Suzanne Richards, and I am the Executive Director for the Maryland Agricultural Education Foundation. We were established in 1989 as a nonprofit organization to provide leadership on behalf of agricultural education in Maryland, and we got the Ag Tag in about the year 2000. So we've been able to use that funding along with gifts, grants, and program fees to conduct programs on elementary, middle school, high school level, and even post-secondary. On the elementary level, we have mobile labs that go to schools across the state and allow students to come out class by class and do an experiment on board our labs. For a lot of these students, it's their first opportunity to learn about science and scientific method. They do really cool things like make lip balm from soybean oil and plastic out of cornstarch, and they always love their experience on board. So we help, underwrite the cost of that. For teachers, we do professional development to help them understand how to use agriculture as a context for learning. We find that it's very engaging and relevant to students and teachers, so they love it. On the secondary level, we do support for our ag teachers in the high schools and career development centers, and also support Maryland FFA. And I'm looking up here at my notes because I had hoped to plan or share my screen too. But we had mobile science labs that visited Jones Elementary School, St. Matthias, Panorama, Crofton Meadows, and Belle Grove elementary schools last year in Anne Arundel County. The case curriculum for agriculture is offered at Cat North, the Phoenix Academy, Southern, and Broadneck high schools. So we're training our future agriculturalists through there. We had the amazing Maryland Agriculture Showcase at Sandy Point State Park for the Maryland Association of Environmental and Outdoor Educators Youth Summit that's held every spring. And we also are asking you to be aware of and please support the proposed magnet program in Anne Arundel County Public Schools to be able to have an agriculture magnet program. I think they're focusing on Southern High School. Also, one last thing, if I may.
Sure.
Please support House Bill 650 and Senate Bill 563. It's the Maryland's Promise Fund, supports the Anne Arundel County Fair and its colleagues, as well as MAVE. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And Ms. Richards and Ms. Davis, and we did have FFA representatives come through our offices. So they were advocating as well. And we appreciate you all. And I know that your contact information, I believe, was shared by Mr. Secretary. If not, we can share that with everyone because I know sometimes people have questions. But I want to thank you. And I want to ask any of the delegates if they had any questions in regards to the presentation.
We had 180 FFA members Wednesday, I guess it was. Yeah. So you saw a lot of blue jackets for sure.
Absolutely. And we appreciate them coming. I do not see any questions from the delegation, but on behalf of the delegation, thank you all for what you do. Obviously, agricultural land and also our shore and Chesapeake Bay is a resource. And we certainly in Anne Arundel County appreciate the work that you're doing. And we'll definitely reach out if we have any need support or resources. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're going to continue on our next presentation. I do believe I see Ms. Mickler, and I think Ms. Corbin, who I'm very familiar with as a former council member, but we do have a presentation today about Anne Arundel County mental health. Just let me open with this. As many of you know, resources are important for people, for those in need. And this presentation is going to be really helpful. I know some of you work in this lane and also have referred folks. So I do want to turn it over. I'm not sure who's going first, but I want to thank you all for coming here today. And if you give us a 5-minute brief presentation on your available resources, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, delegation. My name is Adrienne Michler, and I represent the Anne Arundel County Mental Health Agency. I have with me today Catherine Gray, the Clinical and Deputy Director for the agency, Jennifer Corbin, the Director of our agency's Crisis Response System, and Chelsea Bednarzik, our Chief Operating Officer. I do note the presentation that we prepared for you. It has detailed information about our agency, and I invite the delegation to refer to it at their convenience. Our contact information is on the last page if you or any of your constituents have any questions about mental health in our county. I'll be brief, but I would like to highlight just a few things. Our agency is structured as a private, not-for-profit entity serving by statute as the Mental Health Authority, or CSA, for Anne Arundel County. Together with our local addiction authority partner, or LAA, in the Department of Health, we form the Local Behavioral Health Authority, or LBHA. We are the only LBHA in the state with this configuration. This public-private partnership allows us to fully participate in county government while giving us the flexibility to adapt quickly to the ever-changing needs in our community. This unique structure has served the county well for the last 30 years. Our mission is to plan, manage, and coordinate the public behavioral health system for our residents in Anne Arundel County. We're able to fast-track services to meet this demand. We do this by analyzing data to help us identify where gaps exist and develop new programs to address those needs. Our agency understands the perception that there is a lack of access to care. We are relentlessly working to address these concerns by making constant improvements to our continuum of care. I'd like to very briefly describe a few things that are working well. We have quite a list of achievements this year, but I'd like to highlight just 2 of them. First, our successful inaugural accreditation with the Commission on Accreditation of Rehabilitation Facilities, or CARF. Because of our commitment to excellence, the agency was awarded a full 3-year accreditation for our crisis response system. This nationally recognized system also received a platinum certification for its crisis intervention teams. This is the only regional system in the world to receive this recognition. We are justifiably proud that Anne Arundel has set the bar for crisis systems around the globe. Innovation and flexibility are the hallmark of our work. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Jen to describe some of what is new in our crisis system and the good work they're doing. Jen?
Good morning, everyone. Jen Corbin with Anne Arundel County Crisis Response. Many of you are familiar with our crisis system, mobile crisis, our warm line, CIT, which continues to operate at a very fast pace, very busy pace. And our numbers have steadily increased this year a little bit. And I think part of that is just due to hitting more of our community providers and making sure that we're known. We're doing a lot of training this year with medical providers and different programs to make sure they know how to access us, to try to divert from our hospitals, to try to alleviate some of that increase in the emergency room. Today, what I really wanted to talk about, though, and focus on real quickly, since it's just a short amount of time, is our jail diversion and our court diversion programs that have recently really taken off. We are trying to look at a unique way to work with our legal system when we're unable as mobile crisis or a crisis intervention team to get to the people who are being arrested and end up in our jails or end up with crimes that are caused due to their mental health or their substance use. One of the programs that we have is jail diversion. That is one where we actually have one of our clinicians every day, Monday through Friday, in the Jennifer O Detention Center. So before they would go for bail review, they have an option to meet with our clinician and come up with a plan that we can present to both the state's attorney and public defender, as well as the judge. So one, help them get linked so that they're not being rearrested or continuing to have repeat offended situations. We have a very high success rate right now, just for this fiscal year starting in July. We already have 24 people enrolled out of the 111 that we've assessed. This program is unique because it's voluntary. The person can choose to receive the help or take the information and use it later. So sometimes they may not be ready for the help upon arrest and before their bail review. But we are seeing great success here. And I believe we're only at, in the couple of years we've been doing this, an 8% recidivism rate in regards to people being rearrested or having other encounters with law enforcement, which I'm really proud of. The second program, and I'm sorry to rush through it, but I want to make sure I hit it, is I know some may hear it more as mental health court. I call it court diversion. It is the people that we don't grab on jail diversion side, and I'll wrap up, jail diversion side, that end up in the community, released by the commissioner, that have a chance to get the help they need while they're in front of the judges, where the public defender, state's attorney, or the judge can offer a mental health court, which happens once a month. We've only had 2 so far, and we've already enrolled 19 people into our services, which I'm super excited about. And the last thing I'll leave you with is last year in 2024, just our CIT team alone encountering with jail diversion, and we're able to clear up 14 warrants and apply for public defenders for 11 individuals. Those are people who would have never had that access had they not come into contact crisis bond. And so proud of what we're doing, very unique to Maryland. I'm hoping that we can kind of become a model for this and help people who are stuck in our judicial system. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Corbin. And I was told that you weren't driving or you weren't in the UK, so I just want to make sure you're okay. But thank you and presentation. I know we have some questions based upon what was presented. So if you would, I'm going to ask Delegate Bartlett to begin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you all for presenting. This is always so helpful to know. Jen, I wanted to ask you a couple of questions about mental health court. That sounds absolutely great, or court diversion. That sounds absolutely great. Could you possibly send us any material that you have on when the next date is going to be? You were saying it's once a month. So maybe, is it in circuit court?
No, it's in district court in Glen Burnie, and the
Okay.
next one is March 5th, and it's always the afternoon docket.
Okay. Well, given where we are in our session, I'll probably have to make the May the May court diversion, but I would like to, is it do you all, one thing I wanted to know, Jen, how much do you all work with youth with respect to the diversion program? Because I know the Anne Arundel Police has a great diversion program, and how much does the crisis response team play into that?
Yeah, so our youth program through the police, they refer to us out of that program when appropriate. But they have such a unique way of doing their teen court and their mentorship that only when the mental health is high are they referring to us. So that's how we get those cases for the youth.
Okay. Well, I have to say the mental health programs that we have in Anne Arundel County, I just wanted to take a quick privilege to say, absolutely fantastic. There was a fire just down the street, 4 houses down from me, Monday, and you all were there so fast. And you're everywhere. And whenever there's a crisis, whenever there's whenever we need you, you're always there. So I really appreciate that. And thank you for the work that you all do, both of you, to both organizations, to help our constituents. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Bartlett. Delegate Congolo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Catherine and Jen and Adrian. So good to see you all. Obviously, we've known each other for quite some time. Just wanted to congratulate you all on your platinum CARF accreditation. A lot of people don't realize how significant that is. That really speaks to the work that you do and you have been doing in our community. Also, congrats on the mental health court. Just launched in December, so I'm excited to hear that you already have 19 people enrolled. Are we still doing Silent No More in schools, or what is the actual comprehensive behavioral health resources, education that we're providing in schools for around prevention?
Yes, we still are. It is Sound of Silence. They call it SOS, and it went from Not My Child to that to be more behavioral health approach, so that we're not just talking about substance use, but we're talking about mental health and maybe the whys to why we're choosing substance at the age that kids are. So we do participate in that. And Liz, who does our Safe Station program, not only participates in that, but all of the substance use groups that are in the different districts that have monthly meetings, as well as Ross.
All right, great. Good to hear. Thank you.
Delegate, if I could just add, through the work of the consortium, we have an expansive prevention program for all youth in our school system by way of training. So we are trying to push that out as well. So.
Great. Thank you so much.
If I may, those are broken up into 3 tiers, with the largest tier being for all students, and that is a prevention evidence-based programming.
Thank you, Delegate Congolo, and the responses from the team. Looks like we have Delegate Bagnall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you all so much. This is always one of my favorite delegation meetings because your work is so extraordinary. Jen, can you talk a little bit about the work that you're doing, training other communities on CIT? Because I know that we work outside of Anne Arundel County as well in training up other jurisdictions.
Yes, so we're unique in that not only are we invite other counties to take our CIT training, as well as we are also training like NSA, Secret Service, those kind of programs as well, that boost the response. Because our county is unique in that we have military bases, NSA, Naval Academy, all of that in our county. So we broaden it out and invite people to take our CIT training, as well as we don't if one of our community residents is in another county and having a problem, our CIT is unique in that we will go to that jurisdiction, do a courtesy call, and help our individual wherever they are.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all the work that you do. And I know this delegation is very committed to supporting your continued work.
Thank you, Delegate Bagnall. And I think I could say this on behalf of the Anne Arundel County delegation. And I know this again from my years of service prior in the county, but also now, Ms. Bednarzik, Ms. Michler, Ms. Gray, Ms. Corbin, we appreciate you. And it's certainly helpful for us as legislative and policy folks to understand what resources are available if we have to connect constituents, or if there is something in our community, as Delegate Bartlett pointed out, that you're there. So we want to thank you for coming here today. And certainly we will reach out if we have any additional questions. Are there any additional questions from the delegation? All right. Thank you again for presenting. I do have a few closing announcements before we leave today. Delegation dues. I don't want to get to a point where we have to do a roll call for those that didn't pay, but please make sure you see our secretary, Mr. Massey. For those of you that know, the hospitality that's outside and other things related to the delegation are covered by your dues. So please make sure you do that. Also, it is my understanding, unless we have, I would say October surprise, but we're obviously in February, that there are no more local bills that are coming forward. We've heard everything going forward. I do want to reiterate, though, just for the benefit of the delegation, that there may be a Senate bill that crosses over to the delegation, and we will have a hearing for that. So that's how the process works. So again, the House, my understanding is that all of you have reached out and we've presented those bills asking for delegation support, but we will have, obviously, after crossover, the Senate. So again, reminder about the dues. Thank you again for everybody with the patience with the local bills. And then we have crossover and pretty much good to go. So thank you to our presenters today. We'll move on Delegate Bartlett.
Actually, I was trying to point out Delegate Simmons.
Oh, I'm sorry. Vice Chair Simmons. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to remind everyone, I know yesterday Sheriff Sesker and then his team was around to the delegation speaking on reference to the bill that they have submitted. That bill is in rules. Hopefully it will come out of rules, but just want to make sure that everybody read over that information in that bill with any questions so they can address it directly to the Sheriff's Department. Thank you, and I appreciate all the hard work.
Mr. Chair, can I just make a quick announcement?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so the District 31 Legislative Night is going to be Monday night from 6 to 7:30. I believe the room number is 180, but I'll send out the flyer. Just wanted to extend an invitation to you all, and I hope that we all see you Monday night.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Delegate Bartlett.
My apology, Mr. Chair, but I just needed to ask on the record with Matt, in reference to the bill that Vice Chair Simmons just mentioned, that's not something that we could hear while it's in rules, or do we? I mean, I know because the chair was saying that we don't have any more bills, and I was just wondering, are we going to have a hearing on that bill? Are we going to wait for rules, or what's the plan?
Yeah, typically we would wait until it is approved from rules. Otherwise, if it's not approved from rules, then there's no need to hear it.
Gotcha. Okay. Just wanted to double check on that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Delegate Bartlett. I should have used the term pending bills. That's the only pending bill. But yes, we have to. My understanding is, as Council said, it has to come out of rules first before we can hear it. So, okay. Any other further questions? I do want to take a moment today because, and I know often there's too many thank yous, but I want to thank Secretary Roger Massey, Mary Cruz, Rory from Delegate Bagnall's office. And also my Chief of Staff, Jen Garcia, for trying to manage all this. There's a lot that goes on in the background. So I always want to thank all of your staff. That we appreciate them. And I want to thank everybody for making sure these meetings run smoothly and we get the information out. So thank you to all of you from there. Is there entertain for a motion to close for today?
So moved.
Second.
Is there a second? All right. We have a motion that's probably moved and seconded. Thank you all. We will see you next week with further business for Anne Arundel County. Have a great day and have a great weekend. Thank you.